Well, good morning, everyone, or good evening or afternoon, depending where you're joining us from. Welcome back here to the Launchpad and our live launch coverage of tonight's ULA Atlas V launch, the STP 3, launching out of Cape Canaveral Space Force Station at Slick 41. We're going to go into all the details of today's launch and bring up, of course, their live broadcast here in just a couple of minutes. Liftoff time is scheduled today for 4:04 a.m. Eastern Time, so we are coming down to the last kind of 40 minutes and counting, but everything has progressed well through the fueling sequence. We're glad to have you all here with us tonight. I know for many of us in North America, this is a middle of the night launch. It's 1:30 here, and we're glad to have those of you that have stayed up with us here through the evening. So let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to welcome you in. If you're a first-time viewer to the Launchpad, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the host here at TLP. Here at the Launchpad, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, and we believe space is better together. So we invite you to be active in the chat, asking questions, saying comments, and sharing your experience. Also, consider joining us over on our Discord. It's totally free to do so. We got some people hanging out in live comms there tonight, and consider taking a look and checking out our shop as well. We've got lots of James Webb merch and stuff, and I believe today's the last day or tomorrow to guarantee that you can get it in North America or Europe in time for Christmas. So take a moment, check those out. Some great options there as we count down towards the historic James Webb launch, as well as this holiday season. But Rusty, greetings from Indiana. Joe Pilot, hello from Hong Kong. Great to see all of you here in the chat as usual. We do see ULA pulling up their feed here, so we are going to get ready to patch that in here once they do actually go live. If you guys have questions throughout today, you can send those in the chat. Just tag us at the Launchpad, and we'll be able to answer those throughout kind of the lead up to the count, through the count, and then through a bit of the coast phase. Now, we won't be covering deployment here tonight, as deployment won't occur for well over 7 hours. There are 2 burns in orbit. The first one takes place well over an hour after liftoff, and the next one not until 6.5 to 7 hours after liftoff. So we won't be live that whole time, but we will be live through that launch and at least orbit confirmation, and go from there. But great to have you all here. I also wanted to give a heads up, something exciting. If you guys can stay tuned for it coming this week, I will be sitting down in just a few hours with 3 of the new NASA candidates that were just announced today at Johnson Space Center. Super excited to be sitting down with them, getting to know a little bit about their story and their hopes and dreams. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be coming out this week on the channel, so make sure you watch out for those. And when they do come, share them out. That's a really big help for us. Now let's run through a little bit about today's mission. This is the Space Test Program 3, or STP 3, being launched by United Launch Alliance, or ULA, for the United States Air Force and Space Force as a collective. Excuse me. They're going to be launching on an Atlas V 551 configuration. So that's 5 main engines, Atlas V with 5 boosters, and then the first, on the second stage, 1 engine. There we go. They're going to be launching from Slick 41 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. They're going into a geosynchronous orbit. Of course, they're not a recoverable rocket, so the debris will crash down into the Atlantic Ocean. Weather's been bouncing between 80 and 90% go, so we're excited to see that. This is the 125th orbital launch of 2021 of any rocket company, the 90th mission for the Atlas V, and the 147th mission for ULA. It's also the 101st launch off of Slick 41. So we're excited to have this here. The ULA is been selected to fly this mission as part of the Space Test Program, which will hoist a number of satellites into orbit. 8 are on board for this one, and this is to serve an abundance of purposes for the U.S. Air Force and Space Force. A total of 2 spacecraft containing multiple payloads for the multiple government agencies and organizations have been selected to fly. In this case, there is a primary payload and a rideshare. Generally, a rideshare payload is a satellite which is flying alongside the primary payload that pays for the majority of the flights. That's what we're seeing on board today. There's the STP SAT -6 that is on board, and then a few of the ride shares that are going along the way. But I'm sure ULA will go into all those once they are live here. But as we're getting started, let us know where you're tuning in from. Take a moment, share out the broadcast as well. It really does help us out. I know it's the middle of the night, so we are going to probably be a little less people here tonight, but that is okay. That's what happens when you're launching a rocket at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning. So glad to have you here. Kyle Mason, yay interviews. Yeah, we're so excited. Thank you for the blessings for it. Richie, when dusting? Dusting occurred on one side, so there's a start. When dust fun. But we are here. Glad to have you here, Richie. Dan Jet, good to see you. Rusty Taylor, good to see you. I know Joe and Michelle were in the chat in advance there, and Joe, some great info on the payload here. Keith, a nice change for a morning launch. Hello from the UK. Yeah, for you guys, it's a little bit nicer time over there. Be looking at, let's see, what would be looking, about 9 a.m.? That's a nice time there. Ty coming from Florida. You going to be able to see it, Ty? Are you over on the East Coast? Got Joe's in Tennessee. Great to have you here. Joshua, should you share this launch? You should share every launch, because then more people can get excited about space and what is happening. And there are so many things happening. As we saw the NASA astronauts announce today of the new candidates, the 10 of them. You heard a lot from them about how they were just excited. There's so many things happening. It's hard to actually know what all to share, how excited they are. Well, just quickly switch over here just to show ULA does allow the rebroadcasting of their launches here. We're super grateful that they put that right into their launch feeds just to have that clarification. So we appreciate them supporting us and many other channels in helping bring education and commentary to these events, and so we can answer your guys' questions. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it. James is in Abilene, Texas, and sleepy. I agree. What time does it start? California, 1:07 a.m. Correct. Yeah, right about then. So we are coming down to just over 30 minutes and counting here. But we're going to tune into ULA as they get ready to bring their live coverage. Hopefully give an update on the rocket and give us an exact countdown on that time. But thank you for joining us here for our live launch coverage of STP-3, the Atlas V, launching from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, right here on the launch pad. If it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button. If you're normally here, hit the like. It really does help us out, and we're going to listen in to their live coverage here as they go through their intro of just all the things ULA does. Again, if you have questions throughout today's launch, you can send those in the chat. Just tag us at the launch pad, and we'll be glad to answer those as the evening progresses. Let's listen in.
Right there on your screen. On board are several payloads, including NASA technology that could revolutionize how we communicate to and from space. Thank you for joining me for today's live launch coverage of NASA's Laser Communications Relay Demonstration, or LCRD. I'm Megan Cruz, and I'm joining you live from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Today's 2-hour launch window opens at 4:04 a.m. Eastern Time, and that rocket you just saw sitting on Space Launch Complex 41 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, which is just behind me across the water here. Now, LCRD is hitching a ride on the U.S. Space Force's Space Test Program 3 mission, or STP-3. You can think of the Space Test Program as a ride share to space. It's primarily for the Department of Defense to send up science and technology experiments, but if there's room, others can share that ride, and that's what NASA is doing today. So what does LCRD look like? Well, there it is in the middle of your screen there, about as big as a king-size mattress, sharing a spacecraft with other payloads. It will showcase the unique benefits of laser, also known as optical communications. NASA has relied on radio communications since we first started exploring space, but as we fly more missions that generate more data, and as we work to establish a presence on the moon and send humans to Mars, we are of course going to need a communications upgrade. Lasers can transfer a lot more data at once. How much more? Well, say there's a high-resolution map of Mars. It would take about 9 weeks, yes, 9 weeks, to send that map to Earth using radio waves. But using lasers would only take 9 days. Now, coming up, I'll introduce you to 2 people who played critical roles in bringing LCRD to life. But first, let's check in with our friends at United Launch Alliance. We have Andrea Lenhoff here with me this morning. Andrea, how's the rocket looking?
Thanks, Megan. Everything is going well here in the ASOC. The Atlas V is fueled and ready to launch SDP-3 in just about 30 minutes. The launch count is about to enter a 30-minute hold. This planned hold gives our team extra time to address any last-minute issues. At this time, the team is not working any issues, and we are proceeding towards an on-time liftoff at 4:04 a.m. Eastern. The Space Launch Delta 45 weather officer will provide a final brief to the team shortly. As you know, though, Megan, the weather's been beautiful here, and we're not expecting that to change during our 2-hour launch window today. Back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Andrea. Now we are about 30 minutes and counting, about 6.5 hours from liftoff today. We will see LCRD's host spacecraft separate from the payload fairing. It will make its way to an orbit of around 22,000 miles above the Earth's surface. That's about 1/10 of the way to the moon, for those wondering. By early January, researchers will begin powering on LCRD. And by March, they hope to begin conducting the first experiments. You can see a graphic right there, an animated graphic of LCRD. Again, that's what it's going to look like once we launch it and we start conducting experiments in March. Now, researchers will spend the next 2 years testing LCRD by beaming invisible near-infrared lasers to and from 2 ground stations on Earth, one in California and one in Hawaii. These remote, high-altitude locations were chosen for their clear weather conditions, as clouds can disrupt laser signals. You can see some of the ground stations there. If all goes as planned, LCRD will be NASA's first 2-way, end-to-end optical relay because it can both send and receive data at once. And now I'd like to bring in Kathy Leaders, Associate Administrator of NASA's Space Operations Mission Directorate. Thank you for carving out the time to be here with me.
Thank you for having me.
Perfect.
Very, very exciting day.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the directorate and your role there.
So I get to be lucky enough to be in charge of space operations, which means we get to work on the operational missions that are in play today, but also getting ready for exploration missions. And this one's a very important one to get us ready to go back to the moon.
Yeah, so tell me, what are we hoping to learn with LCRD today?
Well, we actually need to improve our comm systems to be able to do human spaceflight activities around the moon. And so this demonstration is very, very important to get our new systems going. I was just talking to Badra Yunus in charge of our scan group, and he said, you know, this demonstration, if it doesn't work, could push us back 5 to 10 years. So this is very, very, very critical for us to be able to prove out the systems that we're going to need to get ready for both Artemis 2, Artemis 3, our very, very complicated missions, and getting ready even to be able to prove the systems that we'll need to go to Mars.
Right, and it is so critical that LCRD isn't the only mission, right, that's studying laser communications?
Absolutely. On Artemis 2, we actually have O2O, which is a critical system for us to be able to prove out, can we do comm between the relays and the Artemis 2 spacecraft, the Orion spacecraft that will be carrying our first crew demonstration mission. And then we've got Illumina that's going up to the space station that will be doing our space-to-space comm between LCRD and the International Space Station. And then next summer we have Psyche that's going up that will be taking our deep space comm unit, so we'll be practicing it in our deep space area. So it is going to be like an exciting next year of comm and checking the system out, but we need to get the system checked out before we do our moon missions.
Right, and laser communications wouldn't completely go in place of radio, right? This would supplement our radio communications?
Absolutely, but it's going to be a workhorse for us. When you see what we need to be able to have comm for human systems, it's a big deal.
Right.
One of my favorite analogies of how this system improved, you talked about a few things, but you know, for those of us that have been working at home during COVID, this is the difference between dial-up comm and, you know, high-speed internet. So I know when my internet starts going down, I'm in big trouble in my workplace. So this is going to be an important system for us.
Yeah, well, we don't want NASA's internet to go down, right?
No, we do not want NASA's, not its moon internet.
Right. Kathy, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you.
All right, so getting more data back faster is of course a plus, but there are other benefits to laser communications, so check out this video to explain.
Since 1958, NASA.
So yeah, just great hearing just how critically important this this mission is to the future of the Artemis program. And if you're just joining us, welcome here to our live launch coverage of STP-3, launching from Slick 41 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. It's really amazing how many things are linking together right now in the space industry, in the testing and getting ready to go back to the moon and eventually to Mars. And we're excited to have shared earlier tonight and say it again that tomorrow we'll be sitting down with 3 of the brand new NASA astronaut candidates to get to know a little bit more about their story. So make sure you stay tuned for that, coming out very soon. But we are excited to have you all here with us. We last heard we're sitting at T-minus 30 minutes and holding. We haven't heard an update on that yet, but it does look like a really clear night. The weather looks great. We heard that the team wasn't working any issues, so we're assuming they moved through that, but we are waiting to hear an updated T0 on whether they did enter that hold and stay in it, or if they progressed right through it. That is a built-in hole that the ULA team has. Should they be working any issues, it's the place that they know they can actually hold the rocket and not have any impact to the count and be able to work an issue for a period of time. So that's what we're expecting. But at this point, we are now less than 24 minutes and counting, we're assuming, until that liftoff time. Liftoff scheduled at 4:04 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 9:04 UTC. Today's satellite carrying the main satellite on board, as they were saying, is that infrared communication through the lasers, but there are a few ride shares also on board. But we're going to keep a live look at that rocket out on the pad as its fuel up began a couple of hours ago as they prepared for today's launch. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. We'll be answering those live. And, of course, if you are down on the East Coast and you get any pictures or videos of today's launch, you can send those to us over on Twitter at TLPN_official or on our Discord. And we'd be glad to take a look at those and possibly reshare them out to the space community and get people excited to see what you saw here tonight. We always love seeing what you see. If you are down on the region, it does look very clear. Ty, you hear they're launching SLS in February 12th. That is the earliest possible launch window they have for SLS. They have set up 6 months of windows starting in February. From this, they are working a few things on SLS that aren't ready yet. So they are considering possibly being ready for February 12th. We did hear about a possible rollout and wet dress rehearsal occurring at the very end of December or early January. As media, we're waiting to hear more about that as we were invited to it. And hopefully we'll get that access to bring you live coverage of that first ever space launch system rollout from the historic VAB, but stay tuned for that information there. But they are working on that. The biggest thing is SLS has small windows that it's able to do its launch. So if they do roll it out to the pad and have multiple days of scrubs, they actually have to roll it back into the VAB, and it'll have to sit there for sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes up to the next month. And that is what they are going to have to do. So small windows for the testing, but hopefully things progress well. That's awesome, Ty. I appreciate it. It'll be awesome to see your view here. If you're just joining us, though, welcome here to the launch pad and our live coverage of STP-3 launching from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. The weather's looking really good on the ground from the reports we got both from NASA as well as from our own Marcus, who's down in Melbourne, and we're excited to have this launch here. We're just waiting for an updated T0 time, as there's no countdown clocks on any of the streams here tonight. It's something that we've been waiting for. They have a planned hold at T-minus 30 minutes and counting. that they were coming up on, and we should have passed through. They weren't working any issues, but they haven't given us any updates on that. So we're sitting eagerly with all of you, waiting to know if we're still in that hold or if we've actually progressed through it and are now sitting at T-minus 22 minutes, which is where we'd be if they still targeted that same T0. Nihao saying hopefully Vulcan will be ready soon. Yeah, they need those engines, but hopefully they will be able to have that launch as well. Good to see. Warp Bubble Story checks. Yeah. Weather's looking good, Starbase. Absolutely is looking good. Definitely clearer than Starbase looked earlier today. If you were with us for our booster lift coverage, we thought they were going to lift the booster 4 today. Looks like they'll do it in the early morning, but we'll see how that progresses as well. They may have a countdown, but we have not had one from ULA, so we're waiting to hear an update on that from ULA specifically on getting ready for today's flight.
Research on Earth to begin studying. And now, with only about 20 minutes left to launch, we are going to kick it over to ULA to take us through liftoff and ascent of the STP-3 mission carrying NASA's Laser Communications Relay demonstration.
Launch Director.
Launch vehicle is ready to launch.
We have ignition.
You have permission to launch.
1 and liftoff. Liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket.
Mach 1, execute. And we have an indication of spacecraft separation.
Good morning, I'm Andrea Linhoff. I'm a systems engineering lead at ULA and your host for today's Atlas V STP-3 launch for the United States Space Force. I'm here in Mission Control at the Atlas Spaceflight Operations Center at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Welcome to our NASA viewers and those of you just now tuning in. Liftoff is scheduled for 4:04 a.m. Eastern Time, though we do have a 2-hour launch window available today. In addition to watching our webcast, you can also follow live mission progress at ulalaunch.com. The countdown is currently in a 30-minute planned hold. We have 2 planned hold in our 7.5-hour launch count, which give our team additional time to resolve any issues prior to entering the terminal count. At this time, the team is not working any issues and we are proceeding towards an on-time liftoff. Stay tuned after liftoff when I'll be joined by Ruog's Emma Coates to discuss the first flight of a new payload fairing and Northrop Grumman's STP-SAT-6 Program Director Ray Crow. The ascent to orbit is more than 7 hours, so we'll wrap up about 15 minutes after liftoff, sending it back to NASA's LCRD coverage. The launch team recently received a final weather briefing. Here's Space Launch Delta 45 Weather Officer Brian Cizik to give us the forecast.
Thanks, Andrea. And the weather is certainly setting the stage for a beautiful early morning launch here from Cape Canaveral. And that's all thanks to the fact that we're really in between 2 boundaries, one well off to our east, well off the coast, and then a cold front draped to our north. But we're kind of right in the middle of those. As I mentioned, really the only thing we're watching right now, just some high upper level cirrus clouds moving over. And then if you look very closely, you can see this dark area kind of approaching from the west to the east, and that's an area of fog, but that's expected to stay inland, and even if it did get here, really not going to be a concern for our launch window. So as you look, there's a live look at the pad right now, weather looking great, less than a 10% probability of violation, so that's greater than a 90% chance of go. Ground winds 10 to 15 knots from the west-northwest, temperature at 65 degrees, feeling nice out here in Florida. So the stage is set, the weather looking great to light up the night sky here at Cape Canaveral. Andrea?
Thanks, Brian. ULA is launching STP-3 for the Space Force's Space Systems Command. Let's learn more from Captain Ryan Burnt, SSE's Mission Integration Manager.
Thanks, Andrea. Space Test Program Number 3, or STP-3, is comprised of 2 spacecraft, both built by Northrop Grumman. Together, the spacecraft are designed to mature technology and reduce future space program risk by advancing warfighting capabilities in the areas of nuclear detonation detection, space domain awareness, weather, and communication. The first spacecraft to deploy after our long coast to GEO, STP-SAT-6, hosts the National Nuclear Security Administration's Space and Atmospheric Burst Reporting System number 3, and NASA's Laser Communication Relay Demonstration Experiment, or LCRD. LCRD will test laser communications, which could enable the ability to send and receive data over infrared lasers at 1.2 gigabits per second from geosynchronous orbit to Earth. The second
so they're
spacecraft to
flashing the
deploy
lights
is
a little bit
long-duration
here, giving us a
propulsion
little bit of a
classifier
show.
number 1.
This is interesting. I haven't seen this before. They flash them 3-4 times there, maybe doing some adjustments for their cameras, making sure everything's ready for that liftoff sequence here, which sounds like they are still on time for about 18 minutes or so from now. They are in that schedule.
ULA's Atlas V 551 rocket, the largest in the Atlas V fleet, is launching STP-3. This is the 90th Atlas V launch and ULA's 147th launch. Built in ULA's 1.6 million square foot production facility in Decatur, Alabama, the Atlas V Common Core booster is powered by an NPO Energomash RD-180 engine. The Centaur second stage is powered by an Aerojet Rocketdyne RL-10 engine, and 5 Northrop Grumman solid rocket boosters provide additional thrust at liftoff. The 2 spacecraft are encapsulated in a 5-meter diameter RUAG payload fairing. These rocket components travel from Alabama to Cape Canaveral on ULA's rocket ship. Once in Florida, a series of events lead to today's countdown. Preparations began by lifting the 107-foot booster onto the MLP in the Vertical Integration Facility at Space Launch Complex 41. Then the SRBs are mated to the booster. Next, the Centaur was lifted into position, and finally the payload fairing with the spacecraft already encapsulated was mated to the Atlas V rocket. Once the rocket is assembled, or as we like to say stacked, we begin the countdown procedure by moving it from the VIF to the pad. 6 components are used for the 20-minute, third-of-a-mile trip to the pad. The MLP weighs approximately 2 million pounds, supports the rocket, and contains air conditioning, electrical, and commodities lines. Undercarriages bear the weight of the MLP and the rocket. 2 rail cars lead the move. The payload van provides the spacecraft communication, and the ground van provides the support for the rocket. At the rear of the convoy is an environmental control system providing air conditioning to the payload and the rocket. Trackmobiles power the nearly 3 million pound convoy. The Atlas V rocket stands 196 feet, or about 60 meters, and weighs just under 1.3 million pounds, or more than 587,000 kilograms fully fueled. With the rocket on the pad, the launch team then transitions to fueling and other final preparations. ULA's Atlas V 551 rocket has several unique features that enable it to take both STP-3 spacecraft directly to geosynchronous orbit. Let's learn more about today's flight.
The RD-180 main engine, 5 solid rocket boosters.
So I will leave this on the screen here for a minute so you can see a little bit more about the mission, but if you're just joining us, welcome. We currently are in a hold, which is a scheduled hold at T-minus 4 minutes, and we are expecting liftoff about 14 minutes from now, as everything is good. Weather is go, the rocket is go, payload is go from everything we've heard, so they are getting ready for today's launch sequence, which they're showing a quick run through of on your screen at this time. If it's your first time here, take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help us out. We're glad to have you all here with us tonight for this launch of a very important payload, a test payload of what will help make sure future communications for the Artemis era on the Moon and Mars is possible, and is possible at high speeds. And that is what we need to know. Them saying that if this test does not work in the way that they think, we could be setting back 5 to 10 years. So quite an impact this mission could have on the future of the Artemis era, if we're having new communication styles or stuck back with the old ones of Apollo. Right now, the rocket is sitting out on the pad, preparing for its liftoff time about 12 minutes from now. If you're just joining us, though, take a moment, let us know where you're tuning in from. We'd love to welcome you here. And if you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. We'll work on answering those over the next little bit. Just take us at the launch pad, and we will try to answer those there. Joe, someone's in the washer flicking the lights there. Kevin, who turned the lights. Yeah, I haven't seen them do that before. But it probably has to do with something with the cameras, making sure everything is cycled and ready to go for the launch attempt here in the next little bit. Actually going to switch over to the live pad cam as it just went black. So I'm curious to see what all is occurring there. So this is the raw feed of the rocket right now that is just black. So we'll see what's going on with the lights out at Slick 41. There we go. I am from Edmonton, Canada. Thanks for asking, Ty. Payload looks like Big Ben. It's a big payload. It is quite a large payload with that ride share. And then the other part here. Quickly going back to the animation, you can see that large portion being deployed. And then later on, they will have the ride share section deployed, which actually carries a number of units together that will then be separated and on its way. Let's listen back in for an update on the rocket. T-minus 4 minutes and holding. Should be about 11 minutes away from liftoff.
This is Atlas Mission Control. The hold will be extended for at least a few minutes to wait for additional upper-level wind data. A new launch time has not yet been determined.
Okay, so we are in a hold due to weather. Though that weather was 80-90% go throughout today, sounds like some upper-level winds are playing some factors. So we are in a bit of a hold. So we got some time to...
Today's flight is dedicated to ULA employees Alex Hansen and Dean Thompson. Alex Hansen's 25-year career as a ground electrical engineer included 12 years with the Titan rocket program and 13 years supporting the Atlas V program, including activation of Space Launch Complex 41 for the first Atlas V flight in 2002. Alex was a power systems expert who worked to develop, install, and test multiple power supplies, which are a critical part of the pad ground system. Alex was also instrumental in the development of the ground systems used to roll the Atlas V to the launch pad. With such significant contributions, Alex Hansen's legacy is evident with every roll to pad and launch from Slick 41. Dean Thompson's more than 30-year career began at Boeing's Commercial Airplane Division in Wichita, Kansas. He joined Boeing's International Space Station Division in Huntsville, Alabama, followed by a move to ULA's Decatur, Alabama production facility, where he was an electrical engineer serving as the Certified Responsible Engineer Delegate for Delta IV and Atlas V avionics. Dean had delegations for the boosters, upper stages, and payload accommodations, which made him a key part of the Decatur team. As a hands-on engineer, Dean was well respected by his colleagues and missed by all of those that worked with him.
Important to listen in there to that. If you're just joining us, we are in a hold. So it was a scheduled hold at T-minus 4 minutes. It's a 30-minute hold, but they have extended this hold at least for a few minutes due to some upper-level winds, and they're waiting for an updated forecast. So we are awaiting a new T0 time, but we are quite late into that count, T-minus 4 minutes. So when they do resume, things will progress quite quickly. Jenza, hello from New Zealand. UPS in Colorado, great to have you here. Launch right now was scheduled for 8 minutes from now, but we are in a hold, so we're awaiting a updated T0. Hello, Seattle, Baltimore, San Jose, great to have you all here. If it's your first time here, hit that like, subscribe button, it really does help us out. And we're just waiting for an update from ULA on how that weather is looking, but they're watching those upper level winds to make sure that they are ready for liftoff here today. Kind of an interesting combination of a NASA and a ULA coverage.
This is Atlas Mission Control. A new launch time has been coordinated for 5:03 a.m. Eastern.
Okay, we're in an hour hold, an hour delay. Interesting. Well, this will be fun. It appears those lights flashing was probably that's I could see that happening. LOL, absolutely. 5:03, which is now 5:43:03. That is an hour and 3 minutes away. So they have delayed 1 hour for launch here. Quite interesting. Obviously, some upper level winds that they are concerned about. We're waiting for them to update the on-screen count there, but I guess they're going to just stay remaining in that 5-minute T-minus 4 minutes and holding with a new T0 targeting 5:03. Thanks, Anjan. Appreciate it. Harvick in Orlando, Florida. We got Skyhawk in Charleston, South Carolina. Thank you so much. Yeah, we are T-minus 1 hour and 6 minutes and counting. What are we going to do for an hour? We're going to answer some of your
Atlas
questions.
rockets have launched many of the...
We're going to answer some of your questions and maybe just turn up some tunes and listen for that. So what you want to do for the next hour? We don't have a ton scheduled to do. Being totally honest, we'll keep the view at least of the rocket for you guys. We were planning on this to being a quick coverage, to be honest, because I've got a very early morning to be meeting with these upcoming astronauts. But given that we're going to be here, we're not going to wrap up and leave you guys. But at this point, we're going to sit here. Marcus wants some KSP. I don't know if I can... I don't have it set up to load into the new OBS. That's the only issue. I will try to get that ready for the next stream. Because right now I don't... How would I even... Let me see. We'll see if we can make this work. Bear with me here. We're going to work on the fly. This is what you do. And we'll see if we can make this happen. Do we have an Atlas in stock, Kerbal? I think. Maybe not. Let's see. We're going to push them on and see what happens. If you guys have questions, though, you can send in those in the chat, and we'll work on answering those as I see to see if we can get Kerbal to run here for you guys as we await this next hour hold of the launch site. See. Going to take this, and we're going to want to try to keep the rocket on screen for you guys. Ooh, we might have this working here. Let's see. I think we got it. Let's give this a try. Ooh, how are we going to see the chat, though? Let's move this here. This is what you call on-the-fly editing. There we go. Let's see what you guys are saying. Go play some Call of Duty. You've been drinking coffee. Zach don't need sleep. No, of course not. Debate. Is a hot dog considered a sandwich? Oh my. That's there's the question of the evening. UPS, do you think Rocket Lab and SpaceX would consider merging or... No. I think Rocket Lab's too big at this point to see SpaceX buy them out. And Rocket Lab's got a really big mission. So Rocket Lab wants to be a competitor to SpaceX, so that's what they will be. It's barely food. If you eat a sandwich, meat in a hot dog bun is still a sandwich. True. That is true. Take a look here. Do a quick test, see how this is working. I think we've got some Kerbal action. We might not have a camera action while we're doing the Kerbal, though. That might be the only thing. But we can live with that, I think. And of course, if any updates come in from ULA, we will patch those in as we count down this next hour that they are sitting in a hold. Amy, haha, I'm at the beach down the road from the launch. That's awesome, Amy. I know there's a few of you out there scattered around the Space Coast. So unfortunately, you're going to be sitting just a little bit longer there. While we wait for Kerbal to load here. Got a lot of mods on it. It takes a minute to load. We'll pull up that full camera shot here of the rockets as we await this new updated T0 time. Your camera's providing a sideshow? Oh my goodness. So the Discord, Marcus has sent me the cube rule for food identification. If you'd like to see that, join the Discord, and maybe drop it in one of the live chats or something there. But based on that, if the top of the cube and the bottom of the cube have bread, it's a sandwich. If there's two sides and the bottom, it's a taco. But I would challenge, then what's a hot dog bun? Is a hot dog bun really a taco then? The more you know. Or is it toast? Because technically it's flat and then it's just rounded around. So many options. If you're just joining us, welcome here. We are in a 1 hour delay for liftoff here tonight. ULA delaying due to some upper level winds, so we're keeping an eye on those. But the new T0, 5:03 a.m. Eastern, dragging out the night here. We're going to pull up some Kerbal, do a little bit of flying, and go from there as we await. We'll pull up the rocket full screen again. Once we get down to that kind of T-minus 20 minute or so mark. But we'll keep it in that bottom right corner once we get Kerbal loaded here. So you can at least have that live view of the rocket while we await a launch attempt here in the next little bit. If you have questions, keep sending them in. We'll work on answering those as the evening progresses. And here we go. Position this over. Pull that audio down just a little bit for you. There we go. We'll see how this works. Let me know how it's coming through. If it's too loud, we can adjust that as well. Let's see if we can find an Atlas in here. Maybe give that a try. As we await liftoff here later this evening. See if we can find an atlas. Pretty sure we had one in here. Maybe not. Maybe we have to find one. Or what do you guys want to see fly? Let me know in the chat. What should I pull up here? This is a 501. I guess we could make that work. Oh, we need some boosters on it. We're not doing the Mercury Atlas. Hey, Ben. Liftoff currently is now scheduled for 5:03 a.m. So we are in a hold of about an hour. So we're pulling up some Kerbal to fill a little bit of time. But you can see a live view of that rocket in the bottom right corner. And we'll continue that as we go. I know I saw an Atlas on here before. Let's see, where was that other Atlas? We can start with it at least. Can work on putting some boosters on it. Or maybe not. I don't have that one, Marcus. Let's see. Why don't we go with... Here's an Atlas V. This one work? 'Cause I think this was a 551 as well. Atlas 551? Nope, we just need one more of these boosters so we can make that adjustment here. Yep, Kerbal Space Program. Nothing else to do to fill the time. Now, I'm not sure these have stage separators on them, so we might need to fix that. Oh, I didn't want to... Oop. We need one of those back. There we go. You got KSP on Xbox? That'd be interesting to play. I am playing this on a computer. That's the only way I've ever played it. And as the Discord would tell you, I'm fantastic. Huh? Right? No. We'll see if we can get this to orbit. Enhanced edition. Yeah, I do like that the console gets the lunar launch site. I am jealous about that. Surprised they haven't brought that out on the desktop, but maybe in Kerbal 2? What? There we go. There's our 5 boosters. So this is what's basically launching tonight, except ours has a Mars rover in it. So a little bit different. What are some of the best apps to play games like Kerbal? Space Agency is good, but anyone knows something else? It's a good question, Ben. I'll be honest, I don't play a ton of games. I play Minecraft and Kerbal, and that's about it. That's really mainly for the channel more than anything, so. See if anyone in that chat maybe has some recommendations. See, this is technically going to Duna, but let's just try to do the Mun, since that's what eventually that's what they would want this to do, is go to the Mun. So we're gonna pretend we're going to the Mun. Liftoff. We do have a mod on called MechJam. So that's what we're going to be trying to launch this with here this evening, or this morning. And we're having a roll maneuver. Start on the launch angle there.
This is Atlas Mission Control. The countdown is still holding at T-4 minutes while the launch team awaits acceptable high-altitude wind data. A series of balloons have been sent aloft over the course of the countdown to measure the speed and direction of upper-level winds that the Atlas V will experience during flight. That data is then assessed to verify conditions are within the structural and controllability limits of the launch vehicle configuration.
So we did just hear an update there that they're, we'll just adjust this down here just a little so we can hear Mission Control when they do tap in. They are releasing some more balloons into the higher levels there to see what's going on with those upper level winds as they see if they can have a launch here tonight. So keep listening in, see if we get a scrub or not. They do have a 2-hour window, but we'll see. So far, this looks like it's launching well. Ty, we should play Minecraft together sometimes. If you're on the Discord, Ty, we hang out. We've got a whole gaming section in there. Hang out there quite often. Absolutely. Eyeballing these seems to have worked. Yeah, they look pretty even. There's a way to do odd ways to... Oh, is there? Interesting. Yeah, this seems to have worked just by guessing, though. Just gonna warp some time here a little bit.
SC and I, you're
SC, you're on that one.
We're starting our gravity turn. Ooh, that'd be cool, man. Absolutely. Coming up on the booster separation. We won't be able to launch because too many balloons. Nah, the balloons get out of the way. There's the booster cutoff. We hope we don't see that tonight. Put us in a slightly higher orbit. This is not high enough. There we go. Ooh. Ooh.
In October, ULA's Atlas V rocket launched NASA's Lucy on its long journey to Jupiter's Trojan asteroids. Let's take another look at that historic flight.
So, not what we were hoping for. Here's one last question. SpaceX or Rocket Lab? No contest for me. Yes, we're still holding T-minus 4 minutes. Waiting for some new forecasts for the upper level winds. Right now, we are 43 minutes away from the second T0 that they gave us, which is for that. So, yeah, 43 minutes from now is the updated T0, but we're still waiting to hear if they're fully a go or not for that, that window. See if we can make this still work or not. It's just a little broken. Just a little. I mean, as long as it lands safely, that counts, right? Ooh. We're gonna try to circularize this and see what happens. That's how Zach does it. Oh my. Less boom boom, more zoom zoom. Yeah. Let me drop you a link there, Ty. Ooh, looks like we might not have enough for this. Maybe we just try to bring it back to Earth. Let's do that. How about that? If you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. We are T-minus 40 minutes and counting, sort of, to the liftoff of tonight's Atlas V. We're waiting for an update on the weather conditions, the high altitude winds causing some problems. So we're pulling up, playing a little Kerbal while we await an update from ULA here on how tonight's progressing. Just no diving back in. That doesn't work every time. Oh, Ben. Trying to whip this around so we can land at the Kerbal Center, at least roughly. Thanks, Ty. Appreciate it. Welcome to the Discord. Almost got a landing. So it's obviously not how anything aerospace would work. Just, you know, only on Kerbal. And cut off. Sounds good, peas. We'll see you in a bit.
This is Atlas Mission Control. The countdown is still holding at T-minus 4 minutes while the launch team awaits high-altitude wind data. Today's available launch window, which is determined by orbital requirements of the STP-3 payloads, remains open through 6:04 a.m. Eastern Time for the Atlas V rocket to launch from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. At the present time, the launch team is postured to resume the countdown for a launch in the middle of the window at 5:03 a.m. Eastern.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Are we going to hit our second stage coming in? Can I get rid of the second? No, second stage does not have a brain, so. Ooh, we might be coming in a little far. It said to land at the VAB though, so. At 10,000 meters, we'll jettison the heat shield. That worked really well. Oh boy. Ready for the boom, Kevin.
The ULA team continues to make progress on development of our Vulcan Centaur rocket. Here is an update.
Vulcan Centaur production begin.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, this was going to Duna originally. exactly what would have happened. This would crash over into a... This is how Curiosity and Perseverance both landed, yep. And then this will crash. It wouldn't have fired its engines, but it could have. And we can switch to the rover. There we go. If you're just joining us, though, welcome here to the launch pad. You're joining us for our live launch coverage of STP-3. The crews are still in a hold, watching those high-level winds for today's liftoff. We are listening into the mission control net as we await an update as more debris keeps falling from the sky. So we thought we'd pull up a little bit of Kerbal, fill some time. And if you guys have questions, you can keep sending those in, and we'll be answering those as well. Well, there we go. Now Perseverance would go... This more looks like Curiosity than Perseverance, but... Curiosity. It doesn't look dented. It landed beautifully. Just on the wrong planet. There we go. Well, let's try to launch something else. Can you send rockets to other planets? Absolutely, yeah. We'll pull up, let's see, we'll pull up a Saturn V or something, and we'll go to the Mun, which is actually the moon, M-U-N, moon, Mun. Also do planes if you want to as well in the hangar. So we can pull up a Virgin Galactic style one here in a minute as well if we wanted to. Yeah, so there's a career, there's a sandbox, and there's something else. Hey Glenn, how's it going? That was a long trip just to go down the street, yeah.
Gentlemen.
Oh, let's listen in.
Go, LD.
Roger, please load our contingency address files.
Roger. And do you have the file number?
Roger, sir. File number is 06.
Roger that.
Contingency.
Flight control LC, net 1. Go ahead, this flight control. For operation 60, step 220. Load contingency file, adjust AV093 _06. Roger.
So we're listening in for an update here, what this all means.
L minus 25 minutes.
Okay, there we go. T minus 25 minutes. Sounds like they're progressing with the count.
This is Atlas Mission Control. The countdown is still holding at T minus 4 minutes while the launch team awaits high altitude wind data. We are proceeding towards the new launch time of 5:03 a.m. Eastern. On board the Atlas V rocket, there are several payloads, including NASA technology that could revolutionize how we communicate to and from space. Here's more on NASA's Laser Communications Relay Demonstration, or LCD.
And they already walked us through that, so we're gonna keep playing some Kerbal here, as they've played this video about 3 times already. As we count down towards that new T0 time. So this is a somewhat chunky-ish looking Saturn, but we do have Kerbals on board. We've got Jebediah, Bill, and Bob. Looks like we went for an early gravity turn. Stage separation. Yeah, it's very true. It's nothing like building your own rocket from scratch and getting yourself to orbit. I do agree about that. It's a pretty special moment. There's our destination. The Mun. Wow, that staging. That's what Jeff said. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. What?
Jeff who?
L minus 20 minutes.
Yeah, this is going a little flatter than it should. Let's circularize our orbit here. Bob threw up in his helmet. If you're just joining us, welcome here to our live launch coverage of STP-3. We're currently T-minus 20 minutes and hold/counting. We're at a T-minus 4-minute hold, but they're targeting 20 minutes from now for liftoff. But they're still waiting more information on the weather. They can delay up to about 1 more hour. Let's hope they don't. But that's what they can do. So that's what we are waiting to hear more information on. Oh, this isn't going to finalize our orbit. Okay, good to know. We're going to do it manually. There we go. Hey, Wember, we are about 20 minutes ago. I am on an iMac, but I have quite high memory and graphics cards on it, because this is the studio computer. So that's awesome, Skyhawk. Congrats on finishing that. Hey, Ram, how's it going?
LD, channel 1.
Go.
Roger, sir. We've got a report that upper level winds will be red at the open of our window.
Oh,
Stand by
no.
for coordination of a new T0.
Roger.
Winds are red. Winds are red. We're awaiting a new T0. They've only got about another hour left in their window today. At this point, they may end up just calling a scrub. But, we're going to listen in, see what we hear.
Spacecraft coordinator LC. That one.
SC on 1. SC on 1, go.
Yeah, so we'll stand by until I get further direction on T0 for spacecraft coordination.
Understood.
LD, channel 1.
Go, LD.
Roger, sir. Please coordinate a new T0 with a range of 10:19Z. That's 10:19Z.
So another about 15-minute delay.
RCN 1.
Please coordinate a new
Yeah.
T0 of 10:19.
Roger and word.
ALC, please set the clock of 10:190.
Roger.
And spacecraft coordinator LC.
Is SC on 1?
Yeah, if I need to understand the SV configuration.
Roger, stand by.
Roger.
LC, ALC.
Go.
Countdown clock has been set with new T0.
Roger.
Hey Kyle, welcome back.
LC, SC on 1.
We've had another
Post
delay.
spacecraft
We
external,
were targeting
stand
about
by.
20 minutes, but now we're targeting an extra 15. So we are now sitting at about 27 minutes and hold counting.
L minus 30 minutes.
Word her? Yep, we cover all the launches. Can wait just a few more minutes? Sure, why not? What's a few more minutes? Okay, here we go. So we're now going to do a risky maneuver here.
This is Atlas Mission Control. The launch director, James Webb, has instructed the team to coordinate a new launch time of 5:19 a.m. Eastern. Space communications infrastructure in space and on the ground enables the data collected by missions to reach Earth, upgrading our capacity for discovery. Since the dawn of space exploration, NASA missions have relied on radio frequencies for this transfer of information. NASA's Laser Communications Relay demonstration will launch to space, showcasing the vast benefits of laser communications. LCRD's ground stations, known as Optical Ground Station 1 and 2, are critical to the mission's success.
Just delay to sunrise. No, we don't want that. We don't want that. That would be 2:20 Pacific, Kyle. So just a little bit longer than we were expecting. About 15 more minutes than we were expecting. Yeah, Ty, that'd be great to connect on. If you want to shoot me a message on the Discords, we can connect. Absolutely. We're definitely looking at some options for down there. Coming up on our burn, translunar injection. Three, 2, 1, burn. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, hold on, buddy. You can do it. Oh my God. TLI is somewhat suboptimal. Just a little bit. More duct tape. I'm waking up to a floppy rocket.
L minus 25 minutes.
See, this just proves if you believe you can do it. Okay, cool, awesome. Good to know. And burnout. Alright, we're gonna get rid of that stage now, because we really definitely do not need it. Oh, that poor thing. It's so wiggly I can't even jettison. This is the beautiful game between the ridiculous failures and successes, exactly. Okay, cool. I was in VR when we were down there for Inspiration 4, so okay, sweet.
L minus 23 minutes.
Flight control, verify IFPS power is disabled.
Verified.
Probably can get rid of this tank too, right? Hey, Alberto. We are currently T-minus 23 minutes / counting holding. So we're at T-minus 4 minutes and holding, but they're targeting a T0 at T-minus 23 minutes and counting. So we're having to wait till we get closer to confirm when it will actually happen. They're watching high-level winds.
L minus 21 minutes.
This is Atlas Mission Control. The countdown remains holding at T-minus 4 minutes while the team continues to wait on the winds aloft. A new T0 is planned at 5:19 a.m. Eastern. Today's trajectory is long and complex. Here's ULA's president and CEO, Tori Bruno, to explain the flight in more detail.
I want to talk to you about our next mission, STP-3. It's a very, very cool mission. I'm here in the DOSC, the Operations Center in Denver, which is going to be filled with engineers in just a few days. This mission is a rare and unique trajectory, something we call a direct injection into GSO, or geosynchronous orbit. We're going to use our biggest Atlas, the 551, the Bruiser, 5 solid rocket motors, 2.6 million pounds of thrust at liftoff to do this. The spacecraft is also pretty cool, but that's classified. So back to the rocket. When we lift off, we're going to go straight up into the sky. We're going to be nearly orbital when the first stage finishes. It'll just take a few minutes to consume all that propellant, and then Centaur will take over. It'll take us with a very short burn just into a LEO parking orbit, so we can coast around to be perfectly aligned for the latitude we want for this spacecraft. Then it's going to do a hard burn. It's going to throw us out on a big elliptical orbit, a home and transfer that exactly intersects at its highest altitude with the destination. Normally, you'd be done right now, and the rocket would drop you off, and the spacecraft would have to use its own fuel to circularize that orbit, shortening its life. But not this time. This time, Centaur's going to go all the way. We're going to coast for 5 long hours, because that's how long it takes to get from LEO to GEO. And then just as we are intersecting that altitude, Centaur will come back to life, fire up for another burn, and lift that perigee all the way out into a perfect circular orbit at geosynchronous altitude 36,000 kilometers above Earth, a period that is exactly a day, so the spacecraft appears to hover in the sky. Go Atlas, go Centaur, go STP-3.
Always great to hear from Tori there, breaking it down. Stage separation. Oops.
LD, LC, LD, Gen 1.
Go ahead.
Roger, sir. We are continuing to proceed. We'll have the final winds update shortly, but we are green at this moment and continuing to proceed.
Hey, winds are green right now. That's a good sign.
L minus 15 minutes.
We're at T-minus 15 minutes.
On channel 1.
Go.
STP SAT-6 is on internal power and is prepared to enable the in-flight power system.
Roger. Flight control, enable SAT-6 IFPS.
Roger. SAT-6 IFPS enabled.
Roger. SAT-6 MM, LC net 1.
SAT-6.
Begin telemetry verification.
Verifying.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
As you heard moments ago, we are currently green.
And
for
on
weather.
that note,
We are proceeding towards a 5:19
we are
a.m.
proceeding
Eastern
towards the count.
Polling will begin in just a few moments.
L minus 13 minutes.
LC, this is LDPE on channel 1.
Go.
LDPE1 is on internal power and is prepared to enable the in-flight power system.
Roger. Flight control, enable LDPE IFPS.
Roger. LDPE IFPS enabled.
Roger. LDPE MM, LC net 1.
This is LDPE.
Begin telemetry verifications.
Roger.
Flight control, LC.
Go ahead, this flight control.
Form option 409, RP1 temp update.
Roger.
If you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad, our live launch coverage of today's STP-3 launch of the United Launch Alliance, or ULA's Atlas V rocket from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station from Slick 41. We've had a few holds here tonight with the upper level winds, but right now winds are green, and they are progressing in their count. Currently, we are sitting at T-minus 19 minutes.
Roger.
They're going through some go, no goes here as they go through the last 20 minutes of the count. If you guys have questions, you can send those into the chat. We'll continue answering those as the evening progresses towards hopefully this launch attempt. They are getting close to the end of their window of when they would actually be able to go for launch, so we are keeping a close eye on that as well. Thanks, Julia. At least we made it to the surface.
L minus 10 minutes.
All communications switch to channel 1. All personnel and visitors remain in present position until launch. Maintain operational silence in the LCC.
All right.
Terminal count briefing. If a condition exceeds a launch constraint anytime after the terminal count status check, the observer shall announce hold, hold, hold on channel 1, identify their station, and briefly state the reason for the hold. Flight control, perform launch on time verification.
Roger.
OSM, place
SDU1 is go.
You're on net 1. OSM, place SRB ignition SNA switch in the enable position.
SRB ignition enabled.
Blocks 2, verify CISA purge flowing GN2 to the CISA.
Verified.
OSM, verify the FCO, ROC, and OSM hold fire switches are in the proceed position.
Ready to proceed.
RLM, verify the red line monitor and event table in the correct configuration for terminal count.
Verified.
L-9 minutes.
RC, verify solar radiation acceptable for launch.
Verified. Launch on time verified.
Roger. LC switch to the ready position. All steps are complete prior to the status check.
If you're just joining us,
L-8
welcome.
minutes.
We're at T-minus 8 minutes and counting until liftoff of the Atlas V here. Hey, Joseph, how's it going? Staying up late in Canberra? I hope I said that right.
Remain in the planned 30-minute
hold. Mudboy and Joseph, thanks for watching. Great to have you guys here. Hope we have a good launch for you tonight. Let's listen into the go-no-go polling.
Engineers and managers are polled for their system status and readiness to proceed. This is the final status check for all Atlas vehicle systems, ground systems, spacecraft, and the U.S. Space Force Eastern Range. The vehicle system readiness poll includes electrical systems, hydraulics, pneumatics, propulsion systems, flight control, and propellants. Let's listen in as Scott Barney performs the final polling.
L-7 minutes.
Status check to proceed with terminal count. Atlas systems, propulsion.
Go.
Hydraulics.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
Water.
Go.
Centaur systems, propulsion.
Go.
Pneumatics.
Go.
LO2.
Go.
LH2.
Go.
HASGAS.
Go.
Electrical systems, airborne.
Go.
Ground.
Go.
Facility.
Go.
RF FTS.
Go.
Flight control.
Go.
GCQ.
Go.
Operations support.
Go.
COM.
Go.
Umbilicals.
Go.
ECS.
Go.
Redline monitor.
Go.
Quality.
Go.
Op safety manager.
Go.
ULA safety officer.
Go.
Vehicle system engineer.
Go.
Anomaly chief.
Go.
Range coordinator.
Clear to proceed.
Launch director.
Launch vehicle is ready to launch.
Mission director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count. ALC, verify T0 is set for 10:19 Zulu.
Verified.
That is what we have wanted to hear all
Polling
night.
is complete, and the ULA launch team and the Space Force mission director go for launch. From T-minus 4 minutes until launch, you will be listening to Scott Barney and his team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure. Several critical activities occur in the final minutes leading to launch, including verifying fuel tank levels and pressures in the booster and Centaur, as well as arming the flight termination system. At
T-minus
T-minus
5
25
minutes.
seconds, you'll hear Go Atlas, Go Centaur, Go STP-3. This is the final status check of Atlas, Centaur, and STP-3 readiness. At T-minus 3 seconds, the main engine ignites, followed by ignition of the solid rocket boosters. Then after seeing the Atlas V lift off the launch pad, you'll begin hearing flight commentator Jesse Gonzalez providing launch vehicle ascent data.
If you're just joining us, you're just in time. We are almost T-minus 4 minutes, and they'll release the hold here. And everything is go for launch. Launch director says they're go. Mission director is given a go for launch, that they are allowed to launch. So they are go, targeting 5:19 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 4 minutes from now. Weather looks like it's going to clear off those upper level winds just enough for them to be in the green and be able to launch this payload.
Control at T-minus 4 minutes and holding. We anticipate releasing the hold in just a few moments.
We should be seeing that released in a matter of seconds here, based on the time.
On my mark, the time will be T-minus 4 minutes and counting.
Here we go.
3, 2, 1, mark.
T-minus 4 minutes and counting. The hold has been released.
3:55.
Ground pyro
The
enabled.
clock is resumed, and we are go for launch at 5:19 a.m. Eastern. With liftoff approaching, we are going to turn up the volume on our launch team so we can hear the final preparations taking place.
T-minus 3 minutes, 30 seconds. If you're just joining us, take a moment, hit that like, subscribe button. It really does help us out. It looks like we're finally going to get to see this bird fly here tonight. This is the Atlas V with the 551 variant, with the 5 boosters on the side, and the 1 Centaur upper stage, with that 5-meter fairing. And it's a very large fairing carrying today's payload. T-minus 3 minutes and counting.
Atlas tanks to flight pressure.
Securing LO2 topping.
250.
FPS internal.
As always, as we count down those last couple minutes, let's see a go, no go in our chat. If they should launch this, or you guys go for launch. Been sitting here for a while and excited to see this Atlas V finally take to the sky.
LDPE-1 is configured for launch.
T-minus 2 minutes, 30 seconds. The rocket's configured for launch. Glove box snacks are go for Joe. Seeing some goes there. Awesome.
1 minute 59.
Vehicle internal.
155.
Launch signature start.
150.
Securing Centaur LH2. Securing Centaur LO2.
140.
Launch
90 seconds, Marcus.
137.
Here we go.
T-minus 90 seconds. The launch vehicle, payload ground systems, and Eastern Range are go for launch.
Calling out to Marcus, who's down there. With the time delay, it should be lifting off here shortly.
Count started.
115.
Reduce CCS for launch.
Roger.
110.
Vent valves locked.
T-minus 60
1
seconds.
minute.
Report range status.
Range green.
Yes. Range is green. T-minus 45 seconds.
40 seconds.
Stabilize step 3.
ECS reduced for launch.
Roger.
25.
Status check.
Go Atlas.
Go Centaur. Go STP-3.
Here we
T
go.
minus 10, 9,
9,
8,
8,
7, 6,
6,
5,
5,
4,
4,
3,
3,
2, 1.
1.
And we have liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket with the STP-3 mission for the United States Space Force.
Vehicle has cleared the tower and is beginning the pitch over program. And the RD-180 is throttling down slightly as expected. Engine response looks good. And passing 20 seconds into flight, the PU system has gone to closed loop control. SRB chamber pressures continue to look nominal. RD-180 pump speed and fuel injector pressures continue to look good.
And she is flying off
Mach
the
1,
pad.
Atlas V is now supersonic.
Already supersonic.
Passing 45 seconds into flight. Vehicle is now passing through max Q, maximum dynamic pressure. And the RD-180 is throttling back up as expected. Engine response looks good. Passing 1 minute into flight, the vehicle is now 9 miles in altitude, 7 miles downrange, traveling at 2,200 miles per hour. And the RD-180 is throttling down again as expected. Engine response looks good. Standing by for SRB burnout shortly. And just past a minute and a half into flight, we have burnout on all 5 SRBs. Burnout pressure signatures are looking good, and the RD-180 is being throttled back up as expected following SRB burnout. Standing by for jettison shortly.
Look at that separation.
And we have good
That's
indication
cool.
of jettison of all 5 SRBs, and the vehicle has gone to closed loop Q alpha limited steering following SRB jettison. Body rates are looking good.
And Atlas is on its way.
Coming up on 2.5 minutes into flight, a little over 2 minutes remaining in the boost phase of flight.
Waiting for that fairing jettison here coming up.
And the RD-180 is now throttling to maintain a constant 2.5 G acceleration limit. Engine response and vehicle response looks good. And the Centaur reaction control system is now pressurizing to flight levels. Passing 3 minutes into flight, the RD-180 pump speeds and fuel injector pressures continue to look good. The vehicle body rates look very good for this phase in flight. And
Having
the
passed
vehicle
100
is now,
kilometers in
65
altitude.
miles in altitude, 150 miles downrange, traveling at 7,800 miles per hour.
Or 100 kilometers in altitude, going
Standing by for
3.2
payload fairing
kilometers a
jettison
second.
shortly.
250 kilometers downrange and flying.
And we have good indication of payload fairing jettison.
There we go.
And we have Centaur forward load reactor deck jettison. And the RD-180 is throttling back up as expected. Engine response looks good. And the RD-180 is now throttling to maintain a constant 5G acceleration limit. Engine response continues to look good. And Centaur has begun the boost phase chill down portion of flight to thermally condition the RL-10 for operation. And we've had BECO, booster engine cutoff. And we've had successful stage separation. And seeing pre-start on the RL-10. And we've had ignition for the first burn. This will be the first of 3 Centaur burns for today's mission and will last a little under 6 minutes. The RL-10 startup parameters are looking good, and seeing the body rates close out nicely.
And with this, we'll see that first burn begin here. We're going to stay live through this first burn, and then we'll wrap up our live coverage, as payload deployment will not be for another 7 hours, as they have 2 more burns to complete. But great to see second stage burning, and they are on their way. So we're going to keep listening into Mission Control's net as this first 6-minute burn is completed, which will finalize its orbit and begin the process of getting it into the right placement for deployment 7 hours from now.
Payload Fairing Program Manager. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yes, thanks so much for having me. It's such an accomplishment to be here and to witness the jettison of our first payload fairing, our first out of autoclave payload fairing.
Yes, it's been great. I mean,
Yes.
it's a huge accomplishment for the
Exactly.
team, and we're going to talk a lot about what that means out of autoclave manufacturing. But as you know, you guys have been producing payload fairings for us for quite some time, but this is the first one that we've flown using the out of autoclave process. Can you explain to us a little bit about what that means?
Yeah, so normally when we talk in autoclave or out of autoclave, we're talking about the curing or the baking process that goes into creating creating a payload fairing or composite structure. The autoclave itself is actually the container that is performing this curing or baking process.
Great. So in autoclave versus out of autoclave, what are some of the benefits of the out of autoclave process?
So a few of the benefits of the out of autoclave process is actually the fact that we're able to be a little bit lighter in weight.
We like that.
Right. So we're saving time and cost and everything also, because we don't have to have that same internal pressure requirement that's used in the in autoclave process. We're able to lay up an entire half shell of a fairing with just one oven cure cycle, which saves a ton of time.
That's great. I mean, a lot of efficiencies there. We're all about efficiencies and making things better going forward. So what a huge accomplishment, and what a fantastic process you just kind of went through for us. So as you know, you have a production facility that also shares our ULA Decatur production facility. This was the first fairing that was actually produced there and flown now. Can you tell us a little bit about the partnership between RUAG and ULA?
Gotcha. Yeah, so we have many years that, as you mentioned before, we've got a ton of years of partnership with ULA, both on our on our RUAG Switzerland side and our RUAG US side. But with this being the first one out of Decatur, this actually allowed us to be super close to you guys, sharing that wall essentially. So we were actually able to issue, I guess, better delivery, I guess, would be the time frame, or be the thing. But we were able to have better delivery times, save on logistics, which is, again, saving on a ton of costs.
We love the efficiency. Again, we're talking about efficiencies here.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that's been great, we obviously talked about process efficiencies, which was awesome. But, I mean, you're talking about process flow efficiencies as well.
Yes.
We literally share a wall with our 2 facilities, so you can't get more efficient than that.
Yeah.
All right, so something near and dear to my heart. I've been lucky enough to work with you on the Vulcan development program for a long time now. As our viewers may not know, you're actually producing the Vulcan payload fairing for us as well. So can you give us a little bit of a status on where we're at with that development program?
Sure. So we're actually nearing the completion of our qualification process for that. And of course, we're gathering all of our lessons learned from this launch and any of the other payload fairings we're building as well. That way we can make sure that Vulcan is also a success as well.
Right, and it's been so great to watch that qualification testing that we've been doing at Marshall Space Flight Center. So excited to see that come to completion and fruition and things like that. So it's been really great, you know, learning more about the first out of autoclave fairing. I'm so happy to have you here. Emma, thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. And again, congratulations.
Thanks so much for having me.
All right. Okay, let's get back to the mission. We're coming up on the end of the first of 3 Centaur engine burns. Our next event is the first Centaur main engine cutoff for MECO 1. Once again, here's Jesse Gonzalez.
We're listening for an update here. Also working on pulling up a photo here from Marcus, who is down in Melbourne, who got a picture of the launch here. We're waiting to hear this burnout confirmation, and then we will wrap up for the evening. So send in any last questions you guys have, and we'll work on answering those, and then we will conclude for the evening.
And standing by for MECO 1 shortly. And seeing PU go to open loop control in preparation for MECO. And we have MECO. Engine cutoff pressure signatures look good. The Centaur will coast for approximately 1 hour prior to the next burn. And the RCS system is now commanding 100% settling to settle propellants in the tank following the burn.
We're going to pull this up super quick onto the screen here for you guys, but really great picture. If you want to see it in full quality, head on over to the Discord.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T plus 11 minutes and 30 seconds.
A really great picture sent in to us from Marcus. We're glad to have Marcus as part of our team. He's down in Melbourne of that launch streak from this evening. You can really just see where those SRBs were with that extra amount of flame, and then where they burnt out and it continued on in its journey. Much more horizontal than we see on some of the other missions. In there we would actually see the landing burns sometimes occur with some of the other missions, but a really great photo. Thanks for sending that in, Marcus. If you guys have photos or videos from the launch, you can send those in over on the Discord or on Twitter, and we'd be glad to check those out and maybe share even your photo on a future stream. But I think with that, it is late enough. Main engine cutoff has occurred. They'll now coast for about an hour. We are going to wrap it up for us here this evening. If you're new, take a moment, hit that like, subscribe button. It really does help us out. If you are new, my name's Zach. I'm the host here at the Launchpad here at TLP. It's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, and we believe space is better together, and we are so glad to have had you guys here with us tonight, holding out as we awaited for that mission to actually get to take off with those delays there, but Atlas is on its way. But that's going to do it for us here in the launch pad for tonight. This is Zach signing off. We will see you next time. Stay tuned for our exclusive interviews with some of the brand new NASA astronaut candidates coming very soon. This is Zach signing off. Have a great night, everyone. Or maybe it's a good morning. We'll see you later.